Welcome everybody to the very first live episode of Second Gen's Liberated Panda with my co-host Angel Tang and myself, Jason Wirt. Liberated Panda is a series dedicated to bridging the understanding gap between between American and Chinese politics, culture, and institutions.
On this episode, Jason and I will discuss the topic dominating the news cycle this week. It's a true David and Goliath story in connection with the financial markets, with two major investor players, the average Joes versus the Wall Street pros. First, for those of our viewers that need a little bit of context behind this story, the basic premise of this fascinating story is basically a story of retail investors, which means regular investors like you and me, that have accumulated enough collective power to influence and move Wall Street markets on an internet forum of all places called Reddit. The subforum is called Wall Street Bets. And they have these Reddit users, they have a soft spot for companies like GameStop and have decided to punish these hedge funds for shorting stocks they like. But they're also simultaneously creating a massive wealth transfer from institutional investors like these hedge funds to themselves. Due to these Redditors driving up the price of these stocks like GameStop by buying it, GameStop has now risen higher than it's ever been in history. It's never been higher than around $50, I would say, approximately, but now it's shot up to $350 the last time I read it.
Last time $450.
$450, there you go.
Yeah, maxed
so
out.
It went up another 100, which is a crazy jump for no reason. Still confused? That's okay. You're in luck. Our very own co-host, Jason, is not only a bystander to this story, but an actual participant to the story, as he's also invested in GameStop stocks as part of this revenge of retail investors. So, Jason, why don't you explain what's going on down on Reddit a little bit more, and this whole phenomenon that's captured the entire nation and especially Wall Street's attention?
Yes. So if you see these bags under my eyes, it's because I was up late watching all these stocks. Okay. Seriously. I like to dabble on a lot of internet forums because it's fun. You see this stuff. Reddit's a great place to get all sorts of information from everyone. Guys who dabble in investments, guys who are, real deep in investments, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars into investments. Everybody kind of pulls their data anonymously until someone gets leaked, of course. And it's truly great to see everybody's information. So I bought a limited number of GameStop and also a limited number of AMC, which is another stock that they're looking at, and a limited number of Doge, or a decent amount of Dogecoin as well, which is a crypto that on Wall Street Bets. I chose to go that route instead. But I'll give you guys a little bit of background. So about a year ago, there was a user, we'll call him DFB, who's a regular on the Wall Street Bets board, and he found a stock he loved, GameStop. So a lot of the guys on the Wall Street Bets board like GameStop. A lot of them are gamers. Much like AMC, they like AMC because they grew up going to movies, and we don't go to movies anymore. There's a pandemic. But one of the interesting things about GameStop is it actually has very solid fundamentals. I won't go into too many details, but basically they have for a lot of companies, fundamentals are how a stock's going to move. A lot of investors look at fundamentals for how strong a company is. So in this situation, DFB noticed that when he was reading the quarterly report, GameStop had very good cash on hand. So they had a lot of free cash. In addition to that, they had just had an investor take over 9% of the company and put him and a couple of people in his company on the board. And they're really doing a good job. GameStop just got a contract, I think, to be an exclusive provider of games for some internet or software provider. So they have some deals going on that are moving them just from a retail video game store to something, for the 21st century, really. And that was one of the issues with a lot of these retail stores per se. How do you move from the physical market to the online market? So GameStop's trying to do that. So DFB noticed a while ago that the fundamentals are strong, but he also noticed that some big hedge funds were starting to short stocks. So if you guys don't know what shorting means, shorting is basically, let's say a company, we'll call them MC, borrows shares of GameStop at this point, right? And they sell them at $10 a share. They borrow them from the holders of the stock, okay? They pay $1 to borrow the share. So they already sell them at $10. So they paid $1 to borrow the share. The goal is that they want to sell the share or buy the share back at $5. So you're selling something that you're borrowing and you're saying, hey, I'm going to give this back to you in, let's say, a week, a specific amount of time. And your goal, you give them $1 so you can borrow it. And your goal is to sell it for $5. So then you're selling it for $5. So it's costing you $5 and it's costing you $1. So that's $6. And you bought it and you sold it for $10. So 10 minus 6 is 4. So basically you're making $4 off a stock you don't even own that you're just borrowing. Granted, you're paying to borrow it, but you're just borrowing it. So that's shorting the market.
Because they think that the stocks are going to go down.
Yes. So these hedge funds, part of how they do it is they will create artificial demand, or the opposite, they're going to create artificial sales. So sometimes they'll sell to each other to increase the volume of sales. By increasing the volume of sales, they are telling people, hey, a lot of people are selling this stock. So they're selling it to a friend hedge fund or someone else they're working with. So they're selling it back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, because that's how the market works. A lot of it is computer algorithms nowadays. The New York Stock Exchange is the only one that still does floor trading. Everything else is computerized. So they're using these algorithms, and the algorithms are telling you, hey, they're selling a lot. Time to decrease the price of the stock, right? Because there's more demand, or there's less demand than there is the desire to sell. So the demand's not there. So another thing that they do is they get on TV, they get on CNBC, they get on CNN, they get on Fox Business, and they say, we really don't like this stock. We don't think the stock's going to perform well. So what we're going to do is we're shorting this stock, and we think that's the way to go. So they get out there, they do the PR campaign, they write articles, they post it on Twitter. People want to know what these hedge funds are doing because it's, they're smarter than everyone else, right? They're the pros. So naturally, you have these pros now influencing average Joes on what they're on the positions they're taking. So now average people are going along with these hedge funds. So now the hedge funds are actually, even though they have a ton of buying power, they now multiply their power with regular people and other funds. So now you have the hedge funds taking a position and saying this stock is not going to perform well. Well, someone like GameStop actually has good fundamentals, like I stated previously. Their future, because remember, the stock market looks 6 to 9 months out or later. They look at the future, which is why Tesla's doing so well, because everybody's worried about Tesla in 5 years, not Tesla in 5 days. And so they're driving down the price of these companies. And you have to figure, stocks aren't some abstract thing. They're physical shares of a company. So you drive down the price of a company, you can drive them into bankruptcy. And that's important because there's people working at these companies. There are buyers, there's so much that go into this. And by doing that, you're affecting people's lives. So DFB noticed this. And he got on the Reddit forum and said, hey, this company, Melvin Capital, the MC I mentioned, is shorting this stock. And they did it at 10, they did it at 5, now they're doing it at 4. So they've done it so much. They have shorted the stock 140% of the total shares. So if there are 100 million shares out there, they have shorted 140 million. They have overshorted the amount that's out there. So they caught that. This is the first time it happens. It's not just one company. It happens multiple times. So he caught that and he said, hey guys, he got on the board and said, this is a great opportunity. Let's fix this. We love GameStop and they're going to drive them into bankruptcy. So he got on the board, he explained it, a bunch of Redditors jumped on. So all of a sudden the price started rising 5 to 10 to 15 to 20, and now everybody got in on it. This week it really reached
blew up.
Yeah, it really blew up last Friday into this week. And so the point is, these hedge funds now are coming due on their bets. They're coming due at the end of their time that they have to sell it back, and they're betting that $10 goes to $5. Well, now that $10 share has not gone to $5, it's gone to $150 to $200. So these hedge funds, because they're in so deep and they have bets out on every available share. I mean, they're betting on bets basically at this point.
Right.
So
it's like gambling.
Yeah, this is how hedge funds make money. They gamble the stock market.
Except they're like the house too.
Right. But the problem is in our society, we privatize the gains and we socialize the losses. So the federal government bails people out, and when they don't do well, and they tax you, 15% or whatever, when you do well, which is fine, but like, you have to eat your losses if you don't do well. So basically they're coming in now and they have to buy these shorts back at whatever they can find. Well, if everybody sticks together and nobody sells, there's big talk on Discus, on Reddit, on Twitter, don't sell, don't sell, don't sell.
Yeah.
Because eventually when these bets come due and the chickens have to come home to roost or whatever, they have to buy these shares.
Correct.
Whether they're buying them at $5, $50, $500, or $5,000, they have to buy these shares. And the point is, let's force them into a position that they're going to go under. Because let me tell you something about Melvin Capital. They're not the good guys here. They're not the, oh, woe is me, I lost $13 billion with a B. Melvin Capital shorts a lot of companies. They're also shorting AMC, from my understanding. I think they're the ones shorting AMC. And previously in the past, which is why you saw an Elon Musk tweet, they've also shorted Tesla. So he has no love lost for them. So when this happens, there's not a lot of goodwill overall with this company. And so Melvin is in the situation now where they are bankrupt. They had to get bailed out by another hedge fund for $3 billion, 3.1, I think it was. The other day I heard they were teetering on the brink of bankruptcy. And you know what? This is how the stock market works. People don't realize it until normal Americans, citizens of the world band together and they make a move like this.
Right.
I mean, this has massive implications across the board. So
I guess going back to what you said just a little bit, it's more like, how is this all going to end? Is it going to blow up in the face of Wall Street, or is it going to blow up in the face of these Redditors? And by that, you said that, this person looked into the GameStop fundamentals and decided that this stock was worth something. What I've been reading, however, is now that the price is $450, $550, whatever.
It's not worth $450.
Right. We're completely divorcing the value of GameStop, right, and other stocks like you've mentioned from the price. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of dangerous, right? Because eventually the markets will catch up.
I want you to think about it though. Is it dangerous? Because I saw this on CNN. And somebody had said this, and it really struck me as odd. And this brings about a good point. You mentioned it. Is it really dangerous? Because who's setting the value of these companies? People are saying the general consensus, it's dangerous what these Redditors are doing. But these Redditors are setting the value of a company. Now, do you say the same thing when the hedge funds do it? When the hedge funds drive down the value of a company and run them bankrupt, even though they have free cash flow, they're fixing their problems, they're moving into the 21st century into new markets, but yet there's such this desire for these hedge funds to be successful that they are throwing all their clout behind a position that's driving this company into the grave. They're setting the value as well. They're just setting a value of zero, where it's not a zero value company. It's much greater than that. Or the value of $5 a share, where it's greater than that. Is it $450? No. But this is what's great about it, because individuals are pulling the blanket off of the obvious, that we're letting companies, we're letting financiers set the value of physical companies based on them wanting to make money.
Right.
And not actual Main Street setting the values on companies realistically. Granted, we'll never be able to perfectly set value, but all that the Redditors are doing, not really people are in much greater than I am. I'm barely in the GameStop. I'm much more in AMC and Dogecoin. But what they're doing is they're just saying, this is ridiculous, so let's blow it up.
Right. And from a legal perspective, all of this is legal. When the hedge
funds do it, so why can't people do it, right?
Right. When hedge funds do it, it's legal. And when, these Redditors do it, it's legal as well. And the reason behind, why it's legal is it's not your classic pump and dump, right? You're not pumping up the cost of the stock and then selling it at a high price. These Redditors, claim that they believe that the company has value. So hence, it's perfectly legal. They're just playing Wall Street's game or hedge funds game against them. And the funny thing about all of this is now Wall Street is going, wah, wah, we're upset. Like, we want
bail us out.
Like this needs to be regulated. This is the first time I've ever heard Wall Street ever come out and say this has got to stop. The wrong people are manipulating the markets. Only we can manipulate the markets, not
right.
And they not regular retail investors, which I think is hilarious. And it's unfortunate because I don't know if you saw the news, but you have like Robinhood. Remember they restricted trading of certain stocks.
Yeah.
GameStop
I was trying to buy more and I couldn't.
Right. GameStop being one of them. And now everyone's up in arms. I think there might be even a lawsuit going.
Yeah, they already started at least one class action lawsuit I saw.
As they should, because it's absolutely unfair. Like, what's the difference between what they're doing and Wall Street's doing? So I think that is a great place to get the conversation started. And it's so great to see like a civilian revolution against
it really is.
Wall Street, which we're so sick of it, right? We all talk about it. Congress isn't doing anything about it. So I think it's such a like a Robin Hood story, I guess, too, like Robin Hood, the character, not the, where you're stealing from the rich and giving to the poor, except it's not. We're just using their own games against them, which I find very fascinating and very cool. The only thing that I fear is it a game of musical chairs, right? Is it a game where you're buying at 350. Let's just say I want to get in on this, and I'm gonna go tomorrow and I'm gonna buy it at 400. At one point, the price of the stock is going to be so so high that we're all gonna look around and I'm gonna be like, okay, it's time to sell. So I feel like somebody is going to be left holding the bag unless, and I read this somewhere, Reddit decides we're all going to stick together and we're going to hold on to this stock, indefinitely and make it like something like Bitcoin or something like that,
Right. So you're absolutely right. The stock market is not a zero-sum game, especially when you're buying and selling shorts and stuff. They're going to have to cash in those shorts. So as long as people can stay together, they have the bargaining power. The amount of shares that are institutionally held is very low. So there's individual investors own a lot of GameStop right now. Okay. So there's a lot they can do. Now, also, I don't want to get this twisted. We are not giving any financial advice. So let's not even talk about that.
Right. No financial advice, no legal advice.
No financial advice.
All of our own personal opinions only.
All of our own. Yes, exactly. But if everybody sticks together, they will reach a point where people cash out. Now, this is what can be a little bit unnerving, is that if you don't cash out soon enough, the price will fall when people start cashing out.
Correct.
Now,
it's a bubble.
Right. It is a bubble, but this bubble perfectly illustrates what's wrong with Wall Street and how hedge funds make money. And it's all because of computer algorithms. All the people are doing are using their collective buying power to manipulate computer algorithms. I hope that we get, honestly, you want free and fair trade and everything else. You got to get humans back trading these stocks. You got to get the NASDAQ back to in-person trading, get rid of the computer algorithms. They should just be, personal opinion, they should just be there to help them. But, you know, something like this wouldn't happen if the stock market was more in tune with reality. It's not. You know, I know Donald Trump talked about this for the past 4 years. It's Main Street versus Wall Street, which is what's so important. And this is, ironically, he's out of office, but this is the classic Main Street versus Wall Street story. Because here you have Main Street investors coming in saying, you know, we know how your computers work. We're going to beat you at your own game. And you can't do anything about it because you have played your hand by buying these shares, and now you can't touch it. Now you got to wait. And guess what? We're not going to let it fall. We're not going to give you the option to buy. We're going to force this price up. We're going to all keep buying until you absolutely have to pay a fortune to cover your position. And at that point, you're going to go bankrupt because you're not doing the right thing by average people. And that's what's going to hurt. So yeah, some individual investors might be on the wrong side of it. But for the most part, there are so many, they have to cover so much that they have to buy a lot of shares, frankly. Not everybody's going to get out victorious, but I'll be honest with you, it's
at least they're starting the conversation.
Right. And this is what's funny. Occupy Wall Street should have done this instead of getting out and picketing. Right? How much of it was this made 5 years ago? It's huge. This is mad. You are going to change. This is a bigger story than January the 6th. It's a bigger story than January the 20th. It's almost as big of a story as November the 4th. I mean, this is huge because this week, these last few days, is going to affect our financial market for decades, for a generation, for decades, maybe longer. And it's all because you see the power of average people. People on Reddit, trust me, Reddit and Discord, they're saying, just wait for the rest of 2021, guys, because we're going to keep doing it. You keep playing these games, we're going to play it back, and we're going to win. And we're going to win every time because you are so thirsty for money that you are going to play these games, short these stocks, and then you're going to get in this position like AMC. AMC is very shorted, not as much as GameStop, but still. AMC is going to pop next week. Once again, not any advice on stocks, but it goes to show same exact thing. They found another company. There's more companies out there. They release reports on the biggest shorts. And now companies that release these reports are stopping to release the reports because they know the deal. They know what's going on. So
wait, just a caveat. I believe AMC is owned majority owned by Chinese companies or China. Mm-hmm. Just FYI, I'm putting it out there. So I
I saw a number and I don't know how to put it. But I think that it's not as good as GameStop, but there's still a lot of bets that have to be covered.
Right.
So look, it's not going to be as good as GameStop. You're not going to see $400, but would it? Now I'm not an expert. I just dabble in this stuff. Mm-hmm. But, would it be weird to see it right now? It's at 14, I think, 12. It's been around there all day. Would it be weird to see it jump up to 20, 30, even 40? I hope it does because I think that's great. And I think it shows the power of the people. And if it did for GameStop, it obviously could for AMC. But it probably won't reach like $200, $400. If it does, then I'll tell you what, there's a lot of people buying over the weekend if it does. So
here is me playing devil's advocate. Mm-hmm. So now you have these hedge funds who are obviously they're not stupid. You have hedge funds, very quickly pivoting, and they're dedicating portions of their department to follow the Reddit forum, the same Reddit forum we're talking about, so that they can trade or they can at least protect their positions, according to what they're seeing on the Reddit forum. So there's talk about being, or if it hasn't even, maybe it's started already. Some of these hedge funds are starting to bet the same way as Redditors. So, so it's like, again, how is it all going to end, right? Like, are we going to make hedge funds richer? Like, because like, who's to stop them from, going onto Reddit and following, Reddit's moves and everything?
Right. So this is how I think it'll happen, because you have to have the yin and the yang, right? You can't just have all these people, like everyone making money. Somebody's going to have to lose. The whole point of this is to find these shorts that are big, that you can theoretically, that are they're really, I mean, God, the whole thing's gambling, like you said earlier, but you're really having, it's tough to short like 50% of the value. So they really have to move the value of the stock in order to get that short, to win that short. Okay. So they're looking at, the Redditors are looking at these high value stocks in their eyes. They're the value where can we prevent this short from happening? And then where can we drive up the price? Because then if they just keep the price point at a certain level, they're able to move it higher when they're forced to sell. And it's a snowball effect. That's why it can go from $20 to $60 in a day or two, much like GameStop. It just flew through the roof. And it's because that's where we're at right now. So, I mean, let's say they monitor the boards. Mm-hmm. If they've taken a large short position like Melvin, what's Melvin going to do? Is Melvin going to buy more? Because what happens when Melvin buys more? They increase demand, and they hurt their short position even more by increasing demand and, driving up the price. So now you're in the situation where they're just hurting themselves. So the only way I can see this being advantageous is to just completely redo how they choose to operate. Maybe you take less. Like I said, I'm not some stock market guru, but like maybe you take less short, like a position of less shorts. Maybe you short less of, the total amount of shares that are outstanding. So there's different things you can do to hedge your bets against it. But some of these hedge funds have just gotten so aggressive, and you know what? They need to figure it out, because these same hedge funds, like we said earlier, right? They privatize their gains and they want to socialize their losses. So they want to go to the government when they lose money, already talking about bailouts, multiple hedge funds needing bailouts. So what are you going to do? Right. I hate to sound bad, but hey, these Redditors are going to teach them a lesson. And guess what? If I'm another hedge fund, what I'm doing is I am going with the Redditors and driving up that price, because you're going to be more successful. You're going to hit it at the right time. And if you're lucky, some of those retail buyers might be the losers in it, and then maybe they don't do it anymore if they're the ones that are losers because the hedge funds are doing it. So now you have like hedge fund on hedge fund crime, right? And they're battling back and forth. So then you have your homeostasis back in the market with the hedge funds. So I mean, I don't think it'll ever happen, because people are strong, and the Reddit fund has shown that its ability to hold the line where need be. There's people that are selling, but for the most part, a lot of people are holding, and some people are saying we will take this to our grave just for the point that
I read that. Yes.
Home, like just drive it home. So yeah, I mean, I there's other stuff out there. There's the Dogecoin now. Dogecoin is a cryptocurrency that was basically created as a joke. It has absolutely zero value. Once again, I'm not giving any market advice, or any sort of investing advice, but it's ironic to see people talk about, let's pump up Dogecoin, and all of a sudden it just goes through the roof. I mean, it went from less than a cent a few days ago to, God, it was up to 8 cents, 9 cents. I mean, I put some money in there. 8 times my investment. I never win in investing in the stock market. I feel like I'm
scary.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's easy
scary for someone with no financial background. And I have a little anecdote before, I want to answer or at least comment on one of our viewers' comments. So same Reddit forum. I have a friend who joined, let's see, what is it called? She joined this like penny stock subreddit forum. It's called Robinhood Penny Stocks. And again, not giving financial advice. I'm just saying like, wow, Reddit's like the new hot place to like go for investment, because she, like I was like, because I was a finance major in college. And when she was telling me, oh, I bought a penny stock, I was about to like, my head was going to burst. I'm like, do not buy penny stocks. And then she's like, well, I heard it on Reddit. And then lo and behold, it went from 1 cent to 23 cents or something like ridiculous. She said she had like over 1,000% return. And, all from like advice from Reddit. Again, like we don't know, like, what's good.
Didn't you say the same thing about Bitcoin? You probably said the same thing about Bitcoin. See, that's the thing.
This is easier. This is easier to trade though, because on like for our viewers that don't know, Robinhood, you can trade and there's no trading fees. Correct?
There's no fees. It's an easy app to use. The issue with Robinhood is that they shut down their trading for these stocks to try to stem the market. Okay, so what happens from word on the street? So one of the owners of Melvin Capital is Capital something, I'm sorry, I can't think of the name of it. I think it's something else. And Janet Yellen, the Secretary of Treasury, was caught she gave like something almost $1 million, $810,000 worth of speeches mm-hmm. to them. Mm-hmm. And so word on the street is that she got a call from them, and that call, they basically said, stop it, we're going to go bankrupt. She called Robinhood, she called TD Ameritrade, and they halted trading of the stocks. That's the halt trading from Thursday, that caused a lot of people from the subreddit board, like they all traded on Robinhood. Robinhood is an easy app to use. It's common among the younger set that maybe don't have a ton of money, or they just want something easy to use. You can trade cryptos on it. At least the major cryptos. You can trade stocks on it, ETFs. You can't trade mutual funds and stuff. So,
that's fine.
I like Robinhood for what I can, but honestly, I have a couple different ones that I use. Just and honestly, this type of situation is exactly why. Right. So they shut down the trading for a while as a way to stem all of this. And it said that it like cost something like $6 or $7 billion. So you have your Secretary of the Treasury making a call for the hedge funds to the retail traders to stop trading these stocks because it's costing them money.
Correct.
And she made a $6 billion call.
Right.
For her corporate overlords, I guess you could call it.
Right.
That is... On a good day, that's not right.
It's not. It's insane.
It's probably an impeachable offense. Congress should probably impeach her for it. If that's all found out to be true, she should probably get impeached for it. I mean, honestly, with the Biden administration, that would be their best bet to get the heat off of them, or she resigned, because it's obviously did something wrong. There's going to be lawsuits, all those class action lawsuits. They're in trouble. Robinhood's in trouble. TD Ameritrade's in trouble. If that's true about Janet Yellen, which it's been reported now, the $810 million is factual, she's in trouble. All these companies involved are in trouble, including her. And the Biden administration's been mum on it. So it's going to be interesting to see how it gets handled. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
And I think that the smart move politically is for her to either resign or for them to accept articles of impeachment for her, because if not, you're going to have a midterm election here in 2 years, and you have to explain to voters, you have to explain to those Redditors and those people who didn't get their trades in, that somehow all the Democrats in Congress are doing the right thing to protect the average American. And no matter what AOC says, no matter what these guys say, it's obvious that they're going to vote, is the presidential administration good for me, or are they not good for me? And when they see this and they see Janet Yellen still in there, they're going to say it's not good for them. Sometimes in politics, you have to bow out when the wrong thing happens, right? You see people resigning all the time. General Flynn did it. You see it happen all the time. They bow out. And I think for her, politically speaking, with everything going on, I would hope as an American, she would at the very least bow out, or Congress would have the guts to impeach her.
Right. So we'll see how all of that plays out. I mean, obviously we can talk about this forever. There's so many
I know, right?
more interesting things, but it's just our time is up. And before we go, we just wanted to thank our donors, Wei Tang, for his donation. So thank you for our very first live show, our very first donor.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. We didn't really have some questions, just some like of our viewers saying GME to the moon, which is the hashtag, which
hashtag
we can
GME
explain like later or whatnot. But
AMC to the moon.
Right, GME to the moon, yay.
So that's what everybody on Reddit's saying. That's the joke. They use a little rocket ship emoji, and they're like, the stock GME to the moon. They want to take it to the moon. They want to go. They want to make it hurt. They will, like I said, they want to take the stock to their grave. They want to make it hurt. They do. I mean, Main Street millionaires are being formed right now. Isn't it great?
Right. No, which is awesome.
This is a huge wealth transfer. This is a huge wealth. I understand. A lot of people don't understand it. It's not an easy concept. We tried to break it down the best we could. But I don't want anybody to just be like, oh, that's cool financial news. No, that's important. This is massive on a global scale, because guess what? There's people in China, there's people in Australia, there's people in New Zealand, there's people in the UK. They're all putting money down on this stuff.
Right.
There's people in Canada, they're all putting money down on it now, and they're just driving it up. And I gotta be honest, I can't wait till our show on Wednesday, because I'm sure we're gonna bring it up again. Maybe.
Yeah. So we'll see how it goes, and hopefully we brought some like insights into to our viewers about this topic, and happy to discuss this more later if there's more interest in it. But so sad to say that we gotta go. So
you gotta go. One thing real quick, if any of our viewers watching this, comment below, let us know what you think of the episode, but also let us know if you dipped into any of this. We didn't give any financial advice, so we're not giving any financial advice, but we want to hear your comments to see what you thought, or if you could add anything, or your experience on it. A lot of people play around with stocks every now and then, even if it's $5, $10, or 5,000, 10,000. So it's good to hear from you, and also good if you're part of this, part of the GME to the movement.
So head to our Twitter. It's @Liberated_Panda, and let us know all your thoughts, and we will see you next week.
See you guys.
Bye, everyone.
Have a good weekend.